fam? Welcome back. So today we're going to be going over Bitcoin, the Bitty Bitcoin, and also the Bitcoin miners. So with that being said, let's get it. Okay, so if you guys want a channel membership, you can sign up. You would just have to click the join button down below the video. Again, it gives you early access to the content. If you do not want to get early access to the content, then you'll just have to wait till it comes out. But the crypto markets move extremely fast, so you may want to think about it. Again, no pressure. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. If you want to, you can. It's up to you. All right, so I'm going to actually start with Bitcoin, then we'll go over the miners. All right, so Bitcoin's at 100,000. It's kind of been sitting around this level for a little bit. I'm not surprised. One thing I do want to mention is that the Fed is about ready to enter their blackout period at midnight tonight. What does that mean? That means that the Fed cannot say anything to the public. As you guys know, sometimes on a week-by-week basis, the Fed heads will come out and talk and they'll say stuff, which may or may not move the markets. When they're in this blackout period, and you guys can research this for yourself, because again, if you're in the finance space, you theoretically would want to learn as much as you can, right? It just makes sense. So when they're in this blackout phase, it creates certainty in the market because they can't come out and cause chaos and FUD and all that jazz because, again, they can't speak. They're not allowed to speak during the blackout period, which means that the markets can be certain that nothing's going to change during that time frame, which means they're comfortable basically marking up the prices over that time frame. So by saying this, pretty much what I'm expecting here is that crypto and stocks are going to continue climbing higher as the blackout period commences up until whenever the FOMC meeting is going to be. I can't remember the exact date. I think it's the 18th or the 19th or something like that. So, anyways, Bitcoin looks good. We got this kind of bull pennant, bull flag looking thing here. It's a little bit more obvious on the daily time frame, not really so obvious on the weekly. So the target for this is $122,000. Again, that lines up perfectly with the Pi cycle top indicator. Which means, we would still have to go even higher than that just to get to the green EMA, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So that's pretty much all I'm going to say for today on the weekly. The RSI is overbought on the weekly and monthly. To be honest, that doesn't really mean anything. As you guys can see, it really has to get really far up there, up into the 90s on the monthly to truly be at a peak. That's what we've seen based on historical data, and I suspect that's probably not going to change. So if we get in that 90 to 95 on the monthly, I would say, okay, yikes. Maybe we should be terrified, but at this point, I think everything is good to go. Probably going to end up climbing higher. Again, I do think that Bitcoin will probably go higher in the month of December. The miners will go up too. And we're also probably going to see some continued markup on the altcoins. Now, altcoins can continue to go up with Ethereum and Bitcoin, but in my opinion, like I said, they will go up, but they're probably not really going to start exploding until Ethereum gains dominance on Bitcoin, okay? And I think that's likely not going to happen probably until next month at least. Okay, so, and again, usually when it does happen, it's usually in January that Ethereum takes over. All right, so on the monthly time frame, again, we usually get multiple months to the upside once it breaks the all-time highs. You can see 4 weeks here. If I go back to 2017, again, I really got to zoom out for this because it's a long time ago. You can see we broke out here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green candles in a row, 1 red, and then 3 green. So do I think it's over after this huge monster green candle we got last month? No, I don't think so. Again, this candle right here was actually technically not really even a breakout candle because the top was pretty much sitting at this local top back here, which was kind of sitting at these wicks here. I wouldn't really consider this October candle to be a breakout. I think November was the first month, so probably I would say maybe another good 3 solid months of Bitcoin going up. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Okay, so now let's go over to this. I wanted to show you guys this on X. So this is, again, shout out to Crypto Bro or the Crypto Bros. This is something that I came across that I found to be pretty interesting. So this is what's known as the Bitcoin altcoin season indicator. Again, I have no idea where they got this from, but I found this to be quite fascinating. So usually when the price or whatever this line is here is at the bottom, that's Bitcoin season. And when it's at the top, that's altcoin season. So we just entered into altcoin season. Again, the last time we had a major parabolic alt season was back in 2021. And it was we were in alt season for months. Okay. It wasn't like, a couple weeks and it's done. No, like it was like we had the DeFi summer, which was basically the last half of the halving year. And then we had, I think it was like the first 5 months of 2021 was also just stupid returns on altcoins. Okay. So we just entered in. I suspect we're probably going to be in alt season for a while, especially when Bitcoin tops out. Okay. So crypto, we're seeing this thing spike up. But again, I still think, the true parabolic phase of the crypto bull run is not here yet. Again, we would need to see a 75 to 100 to be a little bit alarmed on this. But keep in mind, I mean, we can be at these elevated levels for a while. You can see what it was between like a 25 to 100 for many months. It will have kind of peaks and valleys along the way. It's not going to go in a straight line. So again, I was telling you guys back here that, when we're in this kind of 10 to 15, like, if you're thinking about buying, now may be the time. Again, not financial advice, but retail hasn't come in yet. Well, it appears that retail is starting to come in. So do I think they come in mass yet? No, I do not. I'm just going to be real with you. Okay, so Bitcoin, same thing. Had this huge pump and now it's kind of pulling back. That's kind of to be expected. I mean, again, you guys got to remember people in this space that come into crypto, they're just looking for fast money, dude. They're not here they don't care about learning about the cycles. They're not willing to wait months for the altcoins to pump up 10, 20, 30x. They're looking for like, give me a profit in the next 5 minutes or I'm gone kind of thing. These people are very, very short-term mindset people, okay? Here today, gone tomorrow. That's how they are. And we can play that to our advantage by getting in early ahead of basically the retail and even some of the people that get in early in crypto. You can basically be the front runner to the front runner, so to speak, and then just sit back and wait and take profits later on in the game when you've made stupid gains, right? And then the newbies come into the space because there's always going to be newbies. Again, every single cycle, this is always going to happen. I suspect it's never going to change. Just do keep that in mind. So crypto fear and greed. We just entered recently into the kind of higher levels of euphoria and greed here on this. Am I concerned that we're hitting some kind of local top? No, because again, this thing didn't really have a drop last cycle until about April to May. Was basically the last time we saw a steep drop here. So I suspect we're probably not going to get any kind of major sell-off in crypto, even though it could run higher through the end of next year, probably until somewhere around April or May of next year. Because again, it's not just about crypto that lines up with the seasonality. Okay, March, April, May, somewhere in there is usually kind of sketchy in the stock markets. Also, kind of that September timeframe, right? So we may see some kind of local top for Bitcoin and altcoins right around April, May of next year. And I suspect something similar will also happen with stocks. Because again, usually the stock market usually gets like a couple of 5% or maybe a 10% correction every year, right around those timeframes. Okay, so MVRV, pretty basic here. This thing is not even close to overbought. When it gets kind of between that 7 to 10, we should be saying, yikes, maybe it's time to get out. This is pretty accurate in terms of an indicator, and we've only seen it a handful of times, so I think we're good to go in terms of upside. I think we have a lot of upside here on not just the altcoins, but on Bitcoin too. Bitcoin rainbow chart, told you forever that basically right after the halving, we kind of chop around this blue area here. It happens literally every single cycle, and then eventually we rip. The time that it's chopping around on the blue line, that is the time to accumulate. And then by the time it rips, I mean, you have a very short window if you're not already late to be able to accumulate either Bitcoin or Ethereum in the altcoins. And we're literally seeing that play out, okay? A lot of you guys back here during this kind of pullback in time that I was telling you about was like, oh yeah, crypto's dead, dude. It ain't going nowhere. Well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you now, bro. I mean, Bitcoin's at 100K. If you didn't buy Bitcoin back then, I mean, that's on you. So again, I can't tell you guys what to do, but I it wasn't that long ago that Bitcoin was at 50,000. Now it's at 100,000. And I told you guys that was probably going to happen. And now it did. So it is what it is. But there's always other opportunities. I mean, Ethereum's still relatively cheap. It's not $1,000, but it's not at all-time highs. The altcoins are still relatively cheap. The Bitcoin miners are still relatively cheap, and a lot of the trusts are also still relatively cheap. Okay, so next one here, Nupal. Again, I'm pretty basic. We're just looking to see the black line here, which is Bitcoin, or not the black line, sorry, the blue line, to get up in the pink box up here. And Euphoria and Greed, we have not seen that yet. It's a pretty strong indicator of a potential top. And again, we're not even close to it. So we're basically right in dead center in the middle of belief and denial. So we have quite a ways to go here. Which tells me that Bitcoin's top probably is not in yet. Same thing with the Pi cycle top indicators. So we got to get above the green line for the final move on Bitcoin. Again, looking at last cycle, that happened right around, we got above that green line right around the second half of December. And then we did not actually get the touch until about May. So that kind of lines up with what I told you guys. 2017. So this one was a little bit different. Yeah, it's actually quite a bit different. So we didn't even get above this until about May of the post-halving year. So the time is a little bit off here, but the cycle top was still in right around December of the post-halving year. So we got to get to 126,000 just to get above the green line, which means that Bitcoin still has a very long ways to go. Okay. All right. So M2 money supply, pretty basic. As the Fed continues to cut rates and Trump gets in office and all that jazz, I suspect that these green peaks will continue to grow. The price of Bitcoin will keep going up, and the M2 money supply, which is the blue line, will continue to also rise as well. Because again, these governments love to spend money. Okay, they can't help themselves. Look, you guys, most of you do not understand the Democrats quite like I do, but I will tell you right now, and Republicans are guilty of this too. Okay, I'm not gonna show any favor here, but a lot of these politicians, they literally will look for an excuse to try to get a special interest need that they have put in a bill that gets approved in Congress that permits spending money. Okay, they literally look for reasons to spend money. So yeah, you can be sure that that M2 money supply is going to keep going up. Okay, so top apps here. Again, told you guys before that I'm looking for basically the anything that you can buy crypto on to be kind of in this top 10. We are not seeing that currently. We did see some of these sites that you can buy crypto on, like Cash App and Coinbase, getting kind of a little bit higher up there, but they never actually entered the top 10, which is kind of a signal, in my opinion, that the top could be about to be in. I think there might be, yeah, there it is. Okay, so crypto.com down here at 77. I mean, the highest one we have right now is in the kind of mid 30s. Yeah, we're not even close to a top, guys. I think we're just getting started, to be honest. Okay, so that pretty much covers Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is going to keep going up in December. The alts are going to keep going up in December. Ethereum is going to keep going up in December. And the Bitcoin miners and the crypto stocks and the trusts, probably, they're all going to keep going up in December and in Q1 of next year. All right, so let's get into the miners now. So I've already told you kind of my expectations over the coming weeks and months for the miners. I think they'll keep going up. Again, Bitcoin's at 100,000, 70 to 100,000 during Q4, which means a lot of these miners, when they do have earnings next quarter, are going to be they're going to be bullish. They're probably going to beat earnings, and Wall Street's going to suck that stuff up. They're going to bid the price up because they want to make money. They've probably been accumulating down here alongside us, would be my guess, and then boom, eventually the price is going to rip, and they're going to take profits, maybe sometime Q1 next year. Okay, so Mara. We're hitting resistance here. It could always go higher. I would say if you get a pullback, maybe looking for, again, kind of that 1780 to 20. Worst case scenario, maybe 26. Again, I can't say with absolute certainty that this is a break of structure here, but it kind of does look like it. So targets here would be 30 to about 33. And then kind of up there in that I'd say about $50 to $60 range could also be a potential target as well. So do keep that in mind. And the miners will probably go up into Q1 of next year as well. So they'll let me rephrase what I just said. The miners will probably go up this month and also through Q1 of next year. Okay. All right. So 233% gain here. Riot. This one looks pretty good to me. Again, we got this falling wedge. We got a break out of the wedge, a break of structure. That looks good. The target for the top of the wedge is, in this case, about 1830. And then you have resistance above head at 1870 to 21. So any pullback area here, maybe down to 12 and a quarter. Probably about a 70% move. Now, I do think that Riot could very easily, very easily, probably go back up to at least, I'd say about $40 a share. I don't see any reason why that couldn't happen, because once it breaks above this area here at 21, I mean, it's basically just a straight shot up at that point. Okay, next one here is CLSK. So we told you guys about this on X. So there is a kind of, oh, right. I'm on the monthly time frame. I was wondering why that looks so off. Okay, so let's take a look at Riot and Mara again. Okay, so yeah, this is a little bit more obvious. It broke structure here on Riot. And then, of course, it does appear that it is holding structure on Mara as well. So yeah, those could be the buy zones right there. Okay, so CLSK, we did, again, I'm not super confident about this candle. It is a doji, but it's still kind of outside of the potential bull flag here, which again, the target is going to be about $23. If I actually just go down here to the daily time frame, it may be a little bit more obvious. Again, sometimes when you're on higher time frames, you got to zoom out to see it. You can see we got actually the first daily close out of this thing in quite some time. So that may be the early confirmation right there is going higher. So yeah, I mean, I would say the current price is probably as good as it's going to get. Maybe it pulls back to right in that $14 area. I'm not so sure at this point though. So targets above head 21 to 23.50. Big move here, about 70% gain. And then above and beyond that, you're talking about 40 to, I don't know. I mean, it could realistically go 40 to $45. I don't see any reason why that couldn't happen. I think that's pretty realistic. So maybe potentially as much as 220% gain on this one. Okay, HUD 8, this thing is just absolutely ridiculous. I potentially could even, it's crazy that I'm even thinking about saying this after seeing this many green candles in a row, but it's potential. Maybe there is even a bull flag here also. I know that sounds crazy, but yeah. I mean, would I buy it at these levels when it's this overbought? Hell no, I wouldn't. I think any of these other miners that we talked about already is a better deal, even Mara. But yeah, if it does break out, the target on that would be 42. Honestly, I'd be looking for a pullback to at least a minimum of 23 on this one, and then set my sights on kind of that 28 to 33, somewhere in there, for about a 46% gain. Do keep in mind, just because it's in this zone and it looks extremely bullish does not mean it has to break out. It could do that. Okay. But there's no guarantees. I would have been looking to buy down here and just hold on the way up, which we did have them, but obviously we don't have the shares now. So yeah, I mean, if it does break out, if you want to take that risk, again, if you manage to get down here and you rode the flag up, then about 92% gain. But I would say this one's a little bit expensive in my opinion. Cypher, this one's not so bad. So we get a break of these tops here at kind of this 730 to 750. I'd say it's going to fly up. Pullback area roughly about 610, somewhere in there. Targets about 10 to 1050. 75% move here. BT, so this thing's slowly melting up. That's a good sign. This candle is not quite above this red one, but technically, I mean, the red candle is closed at the bottom, so I guess you could say this is actually a breakout candle, because it does appear to be a little slightly bit higher than this one back here. Yeah, I'm a little iffy on this one, but I would say maybe if there is a pullback here, probably maybe somewhere around 380 to 420. I would say maybe is going to be your best bet here. Targets would be all the way up here at 1250 to 1450. And again, I mean, if this thing does have a breakout, there's essentially almost no resistance in between these two zones. So about a 200% gain here. Okay, BITF still got that triangle pattern going on. I would say this one's relatively cheap and it looks like a good buy in my opinion. Again, that's not financial advice, but if I was looking to buy any of these right now, if we didn't have CLSK, I would probably go with BITF. So pretty much the current price that it's at, about 235, is a good buy in my opinion. And then immediate targets, roughly about 3 to 360 for roughly about an 80% gain. Now, if it goes above and beyond that, next level up here, 680 to 930 for a whopping 400% gain. Okay, Iron, yeah, this thing literally looks like it's about to break out of there. If it does, it's probably going to push up into 1730. If there is any kind of pullback here, I would say maybe about the EMA, so about 10 to 1130. Again, this this does look like it's going to break out, so it could just do that. It's hard to say at this point. So 82% gain on this one. Next one, Hive. Yeah, there's kind of a lot going on here. So I would say maybe right here at $5. If it gets above that zone, then it's probably going to head up to about $7. Pullback area 370 to $4. I would say is maybe a good area to get in. So up to 40% and then all the way up to about 88% on this one. Last one here, Wolf. This one also looks like it's about ready to break out. I mean, very nice clean bull trend here. Higher highs, higher lows. Much more obvious right here. The next level, if this thing does have a breakout, because again, there's not really a whole lot going on here. Maybe it stops at 960, but that's kind of lining up with these tops up here. Next level I'd be looking at is about 1630 here. I'd say maybe a pullback into the EMAs at about $6, 6 to 7, somewhere in there could maybe potentially be a good area to buy, because again, these EMAs usually do hold in bull trends as a kind of retest or support area. Roughly about an 187% gain. All right. Hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.